Thanks for coming. As you know, we always have our meetings on the last Sunday of the month, except for the many times that we don't have it on the last Sunday of the month. So if you notice, this is not the last Sunday of the month. The room is not available next week, so we're having ours today. But next month, which is June, by the way, you know it's June next month, we will have it the last Sunday in June. And of course, it will be right here. I got several announcements to make. We'll try to go through it quickly. The JCC has an educational program on Polish-Jewish relations. It's on your desk on June 14th. We still have that deal with the JCC. Anybody who wants to join as an affiliate member of the JCC, not here as it shows at $118 per year, but just mention South Jersey Men's Club and you get 20 bucks off. I've got a whole brochure in my pockets right here for anybody who wants to see all the benefits that you get from membership.
How many have gone with the affiliate membership to keep us on page?
I don't know. I don't think all that many. I think 25 or 30. That's it.
30? How many do we need?
We need 57.
Are we only 30 of the whole membership?
What's that?
We're only 30 of the 57?
Oh, yes. All right, next thing, most importantly, in this packet, South Jersey Men's Club is sponsoring a comedy night. Your brochure is on the table. We've got 16 spots already filled, but there are more slots available, all right, for the 30 that we were planning on. So take your girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, makes no difference. All right, if you want to laugh, we did this a couple of years ago, and I don't think I stopped laughing for the entire time. Particularly when I saw Perloff walk in, it was really, they really had some good comics that night. So anyway, it's June 9th. You can pay Marty today if you want to pay. It's 10 bucks. It's like bargain cheap. We are getting a discount.
Yeah, it's $20. $10 a person. It was $20.
Yeah, it's half price. Also, last month we had a presentation by the Yellow Ribbon Club, and we did receive this letter from the Yellow Ribbon Club. Dear members of the South Jersey Men's Club, on behalf of the Yellow Ribbon Club and our men and women serving in the Afghanistan and Iraqi areas, we would like to take this time to thank you for hosting one of our volunteers, Dave Silver, as a guest speaker, and further for the very generous donations you made on behalf of your club to help us with our shipping costs to send care packages to our American heroes overseas in Afghanistan. It goes on. I'll pass it around, but they were very, very appreciative for hosting and for our donations, but even more, I think we thank them for what they're doing. So I'll pass that around. Board members, are there any board member announcements? I know the softball team is out playing softball, so they're not here. But in that regard, we still have a few t-shirts left. Remember, these are the t-shirts that our teams are wearing. Okay, it's this new polyester wick away type material. And I have it in large and extra large, and it's $20 for anybody who wants a t-shirt. Michael?
Yes, one of our members, Nelson Mellitz, as you know, he's been post commander for the Jewish war vets, is going to be installed as the New Jersey commander.
State commander.
That's the state. He's going to be installed on June 24th. So So if people would like to go, it's going to be in Toms River. Let me know. There's several of us that are going to go up together. Thank you.
Okay. Any other board members? Dick?
I just want to introduce my cousin, Charlie Robbins from, does everybody know him already? He's a Celtics fan.
I will say as an outsider looking in. Well, I'll just say one thing. As an outsider looking in, this seems like a really well put together group. I mean, it seems like you really have some great purposes. And I really have enjoyed, this is my second time, I guess, in 2 different venues being here. Last time was wherever it was, a much bigger place, different setup, I guess. A couple of years, yeah. But it's just great, you know, when Dick asked me, I said no at first. And he said, oh, you have to come. I said, I was really looking forward to it, Dick, but I didn't want to tell you that, because I figured you'd treat me to that. So thanks for treating me, Dick. And also, it's really nice to meet a lot of you guys and talk with you. It's a great organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie.
Charlie, would you join any club that had Dick as a member?
Well, you
Enough said.
Hey, we didn't even know Dick had relatives.
Ed?
You didn't even know Dick.
You don't know Dick.
This is not really a board issue. It's a follow-up on last month's speaker, the Yellow Ribbon Club. They wanted to let you know that we are still looking for contributions in terms of things, the hundreds of tons of stuff that were, many tons of stuff they send overseas. Anything from pens, notepads, lip balm, tasty cakes is a big thing. So I'm hopeful that in our next meetings or so, you'll bring in something that I can take over to the Yellow Ribbon Club to send overseas. And there'll be Randy, are you here? Yep. Randy's going to send in a notice out to that effect.
You know that, Randy? Tick, tick.
Mr. Berman.
Yes, thank you. I've been sending out cards. People have been requesting to get well wishes and things like that. If you've asked for something that's been sent out, please give whatever you owe to Marty Raffner, okay? Because I don't have the list with me, but people do owe for cards. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we're good?
Yeah.
Any report on Israel? Ben was there just what, 2 weeks ago? Is it still there?
Still there.
Still there. I was in Chicago yesterday.
Still there?
Yeah, well, no, they're trying to tear it down. There's a lot of protesting going on because the NATO summit is being held there, and they did not allow Israel to attend, and so there's a lot of controversy over that.
Who's that?
The leaders of NATO.
Gary, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Okay. Well, Israel is not a member of NATO, but they are a member of the NATO advisory board, and wanted to attend in that role like other advisory countries are attending, and they were told that they cannot. And Turkey had something to do with that, but I'm not tight on the details either. I was busy at an investment conference all the time I was in Chicago, and didn't read the nasty details, but it's on Drudge Report and a few other places. All right, Ed, would you like to, I'm looking forward to our guest speaker today. Being around the people in this room, I need a laugh. So,
he can make some of us disappear. Our guest speaker, Rick Saphire, was kind enough to join us today. You might have passed his store on Route 70. It's a magic shop. And he has a lot to tell us about his other career dealing with entertainers in the Borscht Belt. So without any further delay, I'd like to bring Rick Saphire.
Oh, good. Everybody turn on your cell phones now. We'll have some music. That's fine. Thank you for inviting me. Where's all abroad? He said there's going to be lots of women. I lied. He said he came into the magic shop. He said, you got to come to the meeting. It's the wildest group of guys. He said, you don't even need women, nothing. There's so much fun and entertainment. So I believed him, and I came here. And in conclusion, I would like to say thank you so much for having me. This man believes me. And that's been my experience. No, it's okay. I'm watching the man counting. He has 50. That's a 50-50. You get 50 in your pocket, and the rest is divided up the crash. Figured it out. That's very nice. First, please excuse me. I have had this. There's got to be 7 doctors in here at least. I've had this thing for about a week and a half now, and it doesn't want to go away. So I might have to hop a little bit while we're talking. Oh, look, a woman. Oh, thank God, I saw a woman at the door. How did we let him go? The door opened and a woman looked at. She's like, oh, let's go with that. Strange group of men. No, this is quite a lively, fun. Exactly as he said it would be. I was just getting some tea in the back a while ago, and where's my friend? And he was telling me, there he is, right in the back. Hey, Rick, how you doing? He said, you know, if you drink 3 cups of coffee today, you won't get colon cancer. Thank you very much. This is the most exciting event that I've ever been. And then his cousin, he tells about his cousin is here, and his cousin thinks this is the greatest thing that he's ever seen. So I have to agree. This is a wonderful event, and I do thank you for inviting me here. You know, I own the magic shop. I don't often talk about my other business because a lot of people aren't interested too much in my other business that I've had the magic shops now for 32 years. And my other business, which is Rick Saphire Celebrity Management, is over 40 years now. I've had the great pleasure of representing some of the most famous people in the world and knowing them very intimately and all. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about magic first. Not only will I show you a couple of tricks that are fun, I'll teach you a few things, and I can answer a few questions about the world of magic. The only questions I don't answer is how did he do it, and you know we don't get into that kind of thing. But people have some fascinating questions about magic, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Then, if you're up for it, for the second half of my presentation, I brought some video to show you, some slides of me together with some celebrities who you may remember. And that's why I said I can't talk about this with everybody, because if you're 40 and under, the likelihood is you won't really know the people that I represent. And it's a strange state of affairs as you get older and things start getting farther. I mean, if my wife decided to up and leave me, would I want to date a girl under 40? Somebody help me, would I? Yes. Oh, I would. What would I talk about? I don't understand. And my age? Baseball, good. Yeah, all right.
With women, you just have to listen. You don't have to talk at all.
You see the things that you learn? You see? No, he's right. He's absolutely right. You just nod. That's right. And then when you get your chance, it's not there, so you can't do it anyway. Let me, can you hear me without the microphone? I would like to show you the first magic trick that I ever performed. I was very excited about it because I was and while I show you this magic trick, I'll tell you a little bit about my beginnings. I was born.
Okay, good. At an early age. At an early age.
I'm letting him do the punchlines. Takes the pressure off. I was born, now it wasn't an easy thing. My mother was 340 pounds. You don't know what I had to go through. This may or may not mean anything to anybody here, I don't know, but I'm of Jewish extraction. I was extracted from a Jew in 1947, and so here I am today. And I lived in Newark, which that's the one that's not in Delaware.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people from Delaware say, "Oh, you were born in Newark, New Jersey." No, I was born in Newark, New Jersey. So you know, it's the same spelling but a different pronunciation. I was born. Pardon me that I have the sucking thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't even get this much out. I was born in 1947. We had a second floor apartment in Newark overlooking a mugging. As many of you do, I guess some of you are from Philly, some of you are from North Jersey and New York and all. I tell my daughter about the horses that we used to hear going by with the man sewing the rags and the thing. I mean, that was all there. Television went on at 5 o'clock. Now it goes off at 5 o'clock and I don't watch it because there's not a heck of a lot to see. But as a youngster, I loved magic. And there was a magic professor that lived in the next apartment building. And he met me. I was about 5 years old at the time. And he said, "Bring me 3 pieces of rope, and I will teach you how to do your first magic trick." And I was very excited, and I ran home to Mom. I said, "Mom, you got to give me 3 pieces of rope because the man is a professor, and he's going to teach me how to do a magic trick." So she gave me these 3 pieces of rope. So if you will just pull the end of that rope to make sure, thank you very much. I don't trust this crowd. So the professor said to me, "Rick, thank you very much. We will now begin with 3 pieces of rope." Please pull out the end of that. I was teasing. Thank you very much. 3 pieces of rope, all the same length. And I said to the professor, "Well, there's a little problem, Professor. These 3 pieces of rope are not all the same length." And he said, "Well, what is your theory?" Now you see, as a professor, you have to have a theory. He couldn't just say, "Why? What's your theory?" I was 5 years old. I didn't know anything. I said, "Well, the ends don't meet." He said, "Well, if they meet up here, does that mean that they're the same length?" I said, No. The ends have to meet all together on, both ends." He said, "Well," he said, "given your theory," he said, "if we take all of the ends and now they meet like that," he said, "now we have 3 pieces of rope, all the same length." And I said, "No, Professor," I said, it's not true because now the middles don't meet." We're having a little show here. So the professor said to me, he said, "I've been doing this for years." He said, "You can't argue with me." He said, "I'm a magician. I'm a magic professor." And he said, "If I'm telling you that I have 3 pieces of rope that are all the same length," he said, "you've got to believe me." He said, "You see, there's 1, 2, 3 pieces of rope all the same length." Well, does anybody hear of Great Plymouth? What was it? That was the most exciting thing of the day. Got the car. I mean, I was so confused. I said, "This is the most amazing thing." Well, I ran home to my mother. I said, "Mom, you won't believe what just happened. I just saw the man, and he had 3 pieces of rope, and there was a short one, a medium one, a long one, and then he made like this, and then all the three pieces of rope were all the same length." I said, "Mom, this is the most amazing thing. Look, I was so excited, I even forgot part of the trick." I said, "This is actually, here, we go 1, I'm sorry, I should have done this before, 2, there we go." That's where the applause comes in. 3 pieces of rope, all the same length. Don't hurt yourself. So, I said, "Mom, it's amazing because now they're all the same." And Mom said to me, "Rick, what, you stupid or what's the matter with you?" I said, "Mom, why are you talking like that? You're not Italian." So, she said, "It's an illusion." She said, "All magic is an illusion." She said, "You see, in reality, you have 3 pieces of rope. A small one, a medium one, and a long one." I don't know. I haven't been able to figure it out. So, isn't that a fun trick? That is, now, generally, if I were performing a magic show, I wouldn't say this. But that is one of the most popular tricks at the magic shop. Now I know when you have a speaker come in here, there's usually a few reasons why you want the speaker to come in, and there's a few reasons why the speaker wants to come in. You like to learn a little bit about how this person might have become successful in their chosen profession, and at the same time, the guy with the chosen profession would like to think maybe he'll buy his jams and jellies, you see. So if I were performing a show of magic for a family audience or a nightclub or theater, I would never tell that a trick like that is actually very easy to do. Most magic tricks, unless you get into the very intricate sleight of hand magic, most magic tricks are pretty easy to do, and it's the presentation that really makes the case. Just like if you sell a product, if you sell shoes, I mean, a shoe is a shoe, but you present it and you make it seem very, very compelling. It makes it very desirable. I just made that up. I have no idea what I just said. And because these tricks are really hard, but that's how I get people to buy them. So, is this microphone working, kiddo? Here, let's show you what else. No, that trick is called a professor's nightmare. It's been around 1,000 years. I do it terrific, but it's okay. But these are the kind of things you learn if you take a magic lesson. Watch the rope. This is fast. Watch, 1, 2. See how easy that is? I'll do it again for the West Coast. Here we go. We have a piece of rope like this. 1, 2, 3. But it wasn't always magic that fascinated me. Hypnosis. Hypnosis was always fascinating to me, and I always wanted to be able to make people go sound asleep. There's a man speaking from the rear, which is not easy when you're sitting. Is that right?
Yeah.
When you go to the movies, you talk to the screen?
Only in certain movie theaters.
That's good. Always one.
No one will.
I'd rather hear about this guy's cousin because I learn about a man's cousin. All right, so hypnosis. That's right. Say whatever you like. It doesn't matter. I love doing these things. I almost threw up when I found out I wasn't getting paid, but still, I love doing these things. At the JCC, in a room that's hidden from the world. They rented me a pedometer. They said in 6 miles, just sit down and you're in the place. You have to be healthy to come to this place. It doesn't matter. They say, well, we have a pool and we have this, you're going to be healthy. Just walking to where you have to be, you lose 12 pounds, and it's a wonderful experience to come to the Jewish communities. Hypnosis. No, that's okay. I don't want to break a spell. I will choose the power of my mind. Oh, that's not funny. That's not a joke. The power of my mind. To hypnotize an inanimate object. Sorry, I have to look up a word. I know, but
He's identifying.
is that what an inanimate object? Oh, you'll love this trick. You'll love this trick. Then this one's for him. This guy's so excited. He went to JCPenney's and he got himself a VCR, a little camera. I love it. He asked me before. He says, "Rick, do you know what any of these numbers mean on here? I have no idea what I'm supposed to press." So this is going to be very interesting. Watch this. He's going to send the tape home to the family. Watch this. They're going to think he doesn't know how to work the camera. Hi, for anybody, what's fine? We don't. What's fine? Sylvia, it worked at the place. I saw it on the screen. It sounded fine. The most important thing I have to say is, it's Amra. Take it back. So, okay. Don't cough. I'll start myself. This is a guy I haven't coughed. This is the first time I haven't coughed in about 2 weeks. Excuse me now while I place this rope under my stuff. That's the serious part. This man laughs at everything. You could laugh. But it's working. They all want to know the secret. Problem is, if it stays like this more than 4 hours, you have to rush over. What the hell do they do?
Viagra.
Cialis. Levitra.
Thank you for saying a word. That's not the answer to my question. What do they do? If you call up and you say, hi, I took the pill and it's been 4 hours and 20 minutes now.
Well, you lucky.
What do they do when you go there?
Send the nurse over. They put you on the internet. Give you a medal.
Yeah, a medal. Guy said, come on right over, we'll take care of it.
Rope with a heart on.
Oh, now they're talking dirty. They're talking dirty.
It's a bad group.
No, this is great. It's a lot of fun. You see, people ask me, you know, I've played a lot of big rooms. As a comedian, I dropped magic actually when I was, as long as it's before 4 hours, I can stand here talking, it doesn't matter. I played, like the mountains, we talk about the mountains in a little while. I would come on stage as a comedian, and there would be 1,500, 2,000 people in the audience. So people ask me, well, am I comfortable with a crowd this size? And the answer is absolutely. Of course, even in Las Vegas, halfway during my show, this would be about all that was left. So I'm very comfortable with this crowd. Relax, go to sleep. You two could compare dreams. This is great. This is the most exciting. He told me, Ed said, Rick, keep working until everybody's asleep, then you can leave quietly. 50-50, so I'm hoping. All right. The only way to break the spell of this rope, you see, that's in suspended animation, is by having all of you, at the count of 3, clap once really loud. Be sure to take your hands out of your pockets. Some people forget, and there's a lot of screaming. At the count of 3, you're a very bright, intelligent, studious audience. I'm making jokes at people who have had incredible lives and careers. Somebody, raise your hand, anyone? All right, so at the count of 3, I'd like everybody to clap once really loud. Here we go. 1, 2. Usually I count how many people clapped before I said it. This time I have to try to figure out how many didn't. We'll try it again. They shouldn't have clapped. At the count of 3, 1 clap. Here we go. 1, 2. We'll get you. 1, 2, 3 now. Okay, here we go. My hypnosis is complete. I'm going to teach you how we do a trick. People ask, well, is it proper for a magician to reveal the secret of a trick? And the answer is, yeah, because if magicians didn't ever reveal secrets of tricks, there would have only been one magician, and that would have been that. Of course, people that are interested in learning magic, they have to know the certain degree of secrets, but there's a little something that I'll show you. You can't do it without this thing anyway. Some of you know it, some of you don't. But it doesn't matter. Do me a favor, without getting emotionally involved, feel my hands, please, and make sure that they're empty. Thank you. Had another ring over here. Watch it. We magicians, or is it us magicians? Thank you. Us magicians use, I'm not trusting. We magicians use a formula called wiffle dust. We all use it. You keep it in your pocket. Wiffle dust, you've heard of wiffle dust. You sprinkle it on top of the hand like that. That actually does something. Makes me a living. You see? And as you sprinkle the wiffle dust, something will materialize. Material. You see that? Now, the hard part is, people think making something appear from nowhere is the hard part. Making it disappear, making it vanish, that is the hard part. And again, what do we use?
Wiffle dust.
Good, thank you. Okay. One person's paying attention. I picked on you and I apologize. Little sprinkle of the wiffle dust on top like that. See that? You just move it. A little more wiffle dust, one more sprinkle. Now watch. Nothing fast. Now people will say, well, I used to have, when I was a kid, I had one of them thumbs that you put on your hand, but you didn't use one. Your hands were in front of you every minute. And the fact is, you're right about the thumb, and you're wrong that I didn't use one. Of course I used one. There's a device called a thumb tip. I'm going to show you what it is, because you probably like it, and maybe you'll come in and buy it. It's not expensive. You don't have to buy the whole body, you can just buy the thumb tip. It's on my hand now. The reason why nobody knows it's there or notices that it's there is because nobody has any particular reason to look at anything but your eyes if you're talking to them. Most people in sales know that. If you want to keep somebody interested in what you're saying, you look at them, because then they feel obligated to look at it. If you want them to look over there, then you look over there, and they'll turn their head just like that. And you turn your head just like that. So, yes, I use the thumb tip. But when do I get it? When do I grab it? Well, I did it while I was talking. And to make it disappear, it's gone. Well, why didn't we see it? Is it invisible? The answer is no. It sticks out like a sore thumb. It's never the right color. Black people, white people, Chinese people, they all wear the same. Lithuanians, we don't. But all the other people, we tell them this one, right up here. See that? But you didn't know it was there. I didn't go like this and say, look, my hands are empty. I asked this gentleman if he feel my hands. And when I did that, I held my hands like this, and he grabbed for my palm. Unless he's a farmer, he's not going to start going like this. So you act natural. You behave in a normal fashion. Now, I go like this, I just grab it. I don't do anything slick or fancy. I just hold on to it like that, and I make a little circular motion, so now it's in there. The wiffle dust, which of course doesn't exist, is very important. That gives me an excuse to go to my pocket. Now, as soon as I go to my pocket, people say, hey, what's he doing there? But as soon as I go like this, people dismiss the fact that I went to my pocket, because essentially I did nothing. And a lot of us do nothing in life and get away with it. But magicians do it all the time. And now, slowly, we do the reveal. You don't just go like that. That's no trick. You've got to make it look dramatic. Yeah? Now, we got the plastic thumb tip in our hand. We got this thing coming out like that. Can I get rid of it? Back to the wiffle dust. Sprinkle. And we do it a few times because people are lazy. When they expect something to happen, their brain says, okay, so he's going to do the same thing. I don't have to follow him anymore. So we do it 2 or 3 times. Okay? Where's the thumb tip? I stole it. That's a magic term. Poked it in, using various fingers. I stole it. The audience still thinks it's here. They have no reason to believe it's anywhere else. And I'm not hiding this hand, I'm just using it normally. Now I go to my pocket for the wiffle dust. Where's the thumb tip? Right, it's gone. But that's not the end of the trick, because all the attention is here. Now I go like this. The reason why I go like this is for those amateur magicians in the audience who think they know how the trick is done. They're now saying to themselves, oh, he's got that thumb in there. She's going to say, I told you, look, he just put the thumb on. Like that. And it's gone. And that's a wonderful little magic trick. A thumb tip costs $6.50. You have fun with it forever. For the grandkids, you know, you can get away with yanking off a kid's nose or pulling some kind of a metallic coin out of their ear. That will work for about 10 minutes. Kids nowadays are very sophisticated. When I was 3 years old, I was fascinated just by turning on a light switch. My grandson is 2.5 years old, and he communicates with his aunt in California on the thing, and he knows how to talk to her. So kids are very sophisticated nowadays. So a trick like a thumb tip is a sensational little magic trick, but some people don't have a thumb tip. If you don't mind, I'm going like, I hope this is the shirt without the torn back. Okay, I'm going to set something up and pardon my back for a moment. And you might say, well, is that the only way? Don't look at me for a second. I should not be doing this in front of you here, and I don't want to ruin the surprise. I would like you to be fooled by this, but okay. You might say, well, what if I don't have a thumb tip? What if I don't want to go to your store? What if it's against my religion to buy magic? Well, we get some crazy people coming in. You sell magic, you're doing the devil's business. Good, that'll be $4. I collect for the devil. I don't care. Just give me. You don't have a thumb tip. You didn't expect that you were going to be with a group of people. You take a little, if you have a little handkerchief, a little piece of a napkin or something like that, you want to do some magic. Watch what I do. I'm going to make a noise. I don't want to startle anybody. But no thumb tips. Hands are empty. 1, 2, 3. That is a wonderful little trick. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why it works. People always say that a magician has something up his sleeve or up her sleeve. The answer is never. We never put things up our sleeves. Years ago when we had long baggy cuffs and things, you can do some stuff. But if I were to put this little handkerchief up my sleeve, there's no way to get it out. But it does have something to do with sleeves. You take a little silk handkerchief. If maybe your wife has a scarf, a little silk scarf, she doesn't need, cut it up into a little square. If you have your own silk scarf, that's another problem. We won't talk about that right now. You take the little handkerchief, and you put it right there. And you fold the cloth down over it. Down over it. You don't fold it up, otherwise it'll hit you in the face. So the handkerchief's in there. If I were to extend my arm quickly, it pops out. But you saw that. Most of you didn't see that happen when I performed the trick for the first time. There's a reason for it, and it's a fascinating reason. Number one, I fold this down. Now, if I were to walk and start talking to you like this without holding a microphone, you're probably going to say, well, you know, the man has an affliction. You know the joke, dear God, please make my hand like my other one. You know, you got to be careful what you pray for. So I can't. But if I come out and talk to you like this, it seems natural. So, I talk to you like this, and now I'm looking in front of me. Right in this kind of empty space right in front. And I go, hey, like that. I make it appear from nowhere. Maybe it fooled you again, although this time you knew where it came from. The real magic behind this is the element of surprise. The fact that I'm talking calmly to you, and nobody expects I'm going to go, hey, like that, and clap my hands. It startles people. Just about everybody. Nothing will startle this man, I know that. But most regular people, they get startled when something like that happens. So what happens when you get started, generally?
You blink.
You blink. Here's a statistic that may seem very unimportant to most people. To magicians, it's very important. We blink about 10 times a minute. Our eyes are closed. They measure for about 1/10 of a second. So for 1 second, second's a long time. For every minute, your eyes are completely closed. You wouldn't want to drive and just close your eyes for 1 second. It's dangerous. In the course of a minute, you figure out the math. And when you blink, you're not seeing anything. Your eyes are completely closed. But it's a habit, and we don't think about it, and we dismiss it. The mind blocks out that blank space. It takes about 1/10 of a second for this handkerchief to get from there to there. The exact same amount of time your eyes are closed, but you don't know it. So, essentially what happens with most people, when you stretch your arms out and go, hey, like that, clap your hands, make a loud noise, catching is always the hard part. Your eyes are closed while this handkerchief is traveling from here to here. You don't know it. By the time you open your eyes, not realizing that they had been closed, this is
In the air.
in the air. Now I'm working with a partner. In the air. Actually, I'm a ventriloquist. I thought you might like that. So do a little ventriloquism. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I was too polite, but he said it for me. Thank you very much. So when the eyes are open, it's there. Magically, materialized from nowhere. Now, people always remember a magic trick differently than the way it happened. If I were to show this trick to this man, no, let me get some of that. If I were to show the trick to this man over here, hey, like that, boom, there it is. He might go home and tell his wife, oh, this guy was great. I mean, I can't believe it. He was standing there, all of a sudden, a handkerchief appeared from nowhere. He will forget that I put my hands out. He'll forget that I clapped. He'll forget that I made a loud noise. People like to remember things. That's why lawyers have come into my shop on many occasions asking me for some type of magic trick that if he were to get permission from the judge would illustrate that a witness, no matter how keen they are, may not be seeing things the way they believe they saw them. And there are 100 simple magic tricks that will make that case, because people don't see things the way that they expect to see. One of the greatest things, and I gave this to a lawyer once, he told me he used it. I don't know if you know about Paris in the spring, but try it on your friends. Take a piece of paper, maybe a piece of cardboard, draw a triangle, big triangle. Then at the top of the triangle, inside the triangle, but on the top you put Paris. Then on the next line over to the left, here's the triangle. Paris, then lower to the left, in, the, repeat the word the, and then put the word spring next to it. So, Paris, in, the spring is what you write. Now you're with friends, you show it to everybody. Say, read this. Read this, read this, read this. What did I just show you? Everybody will say, Paris in the spring. Show it to them again. Paris in the spring. People will argue with you. Why? Because, as I said before, we're lazy. We don't read the words. We read the thought. Well, we look at it, we recognize it's supposed to say Paris in the spring, so we believe that it says Paris in the spring. That's why witnesses are not always so crucial or so good. And then when you say, read the words with me one at a time, Paris, in, the. As soon as they see that second the, they grab the paper from you because they think it's a trick paper. They think you did something. They cannot believe that they looked at it. They stared at it. And it's just like proofreading. It's very difficult. How many times have you proofread a newsletter and you showed it to your wife and you showed it to the printer and you showed it to everybody? I have to tell you that this is a true story. And I have never told this to an audience publicly. Many years ago, when inkjet printers became popular, and I had my Macintosh in front of me since 1986, I was designing the cover for the newsletter for the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, NARI was the name of the organization. And it was their Christmas party, and they needed, it's a big banquet, they needed 1,000 newsletters made up, and I did the whole newsletter, and the dinner, the Christmas dinner took place at Chubby's. If you remember Chubby's? On the Black Horse Pike. So I designed everything, all the stories, and then the cover was NARI annual, whatever year it was, 1991 Christmas party, at Chubby's, Black Horse Pike, whatever town.
West Collingswood.
West Collingswood, New Jersey. Okay. I proofed it, of course. My wife is an English teacher and a college professor. She proofed it. The guy who was my contact, he's a bright guy, he proved it. The printer proved it. The president signed off. Everybody did it. Went to the printer. Now we're at the dinner. They're distributing to everybody. I swear to you, I will not make this story up. All of a sudden, a murmur started coming up out of the crowd. And some people are laughing. Some people are saying, this is not funny. And now the president comes over and he's shaking at the Christmas dinner. He said, did you change it? I said, no, I didn't change anything. I had actually had the original signed off proof. Christmas, Chubby's, Black Horse Pike. It was spelled wrong. It was spelled H-O-R-E-S. Everybody missed it. It read the Black Horse Pike. That's terrible. And some people thought it was my sense of humor, which is a curse sometimes. But it just goes to show you, everybody believed, yeah. Now, interesting thing is, if I were to have shown that to a foreigner, they would have caught it immediately. Just like Paris in the spring. I did a presentation. My wife was teaching an English course for Chinese doctoral students at Temple a couple of years ago. So I illustrated Paris in the spring. It failed. Every single one of them read Paris in the spring because they read the words, not what they thought the words should say. And so it's very fascinating. Does it have to do with magic? It really does, because magicians always rely on the fact that that people are lazy, and we can get away with a lot of stuff if we use the right tricks of the trade.
But if you put it in Chinese characters, maybe they would have missed it.
Well, I was going to mention that. Look, I had it until you opened your mouth. The gun was in the palm of my hand. This man's had a poop for the last 10 minutes, didn't want to miss one of my words. Now he's gone. I'm going to teach you one more trick, and then we'll chat a little bit, and then thank you. This has been very therapeutic for my throat. I haven't thought about it, so I haven't been coughing. I'm going to teach everybody how to do a little magic.
Wait a minute, you didn't show us how to make the thing disappear after appearing out of your elbow.
You're really a pain in the ass. No, actually, once you make it appear, well, I mean, if you're a clever magician, you make something appear like that, you say, look at that, reach in your pocket, pick up your thumb tip. See that? Now, see, it costs you $6.50. Now you have to come in a box. You tuck it away, boom, 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 it disappears. Yeah, that's another nice thing about magic. You can take things and routine them together. My customers, for the most part, are not magicians. I've got business cards lined up all around my counters of all the magicians who have been in the store. But if I had to depend on the magicians, I'd have been out of business years ago. 1/3 of my customers at the magic shop, 1/3 are children, 2/3 are adults. Of the adults, a very small percentage are professional magicians. A huge percentage are doctors, lawyers, business people. And they fall in love with magic, so it's a great hobby. But, you know, I've got guys that come in 3, 4, 5 times a year. They need something new because they're going to a trade show and they have a booth. And whether they're selling aluminum siding or whether they're selling their latest books on audio, whatever it is, they've got their booth. And if there's a sexy girl handing out pamphlets at one booth, and if this guy's standing here doing some card tricks and getting people, he's going to have the crowd. Or she's going to have the crowd. A lot of ladies are doing magic also. So magic is not necessarily for the person who wants to be a magician per se. It's a great tool for anybody. But could you do me a favor? So could you sit right over here? I need you. I don't want you out of my sight.
Wash his hands.
I'm not worried. I'm not going to touch his hand. I did bring this along just in case. I'm going to teach you how to do a magic. Well, actually, I'm going to teach everybody how to do a magic trick. And
You make him disappear?
no, I don't want to make him disappear. I don't want to do that. I'll leave the obvious jokes to you, and I'll do the clever ones. Let's say you're at a party. Somebody will invite you. Don't worry. It'll happen. It'll happen. Somebody will invite you. You're at a party, and somebody knows that you do a little magic, and they say, "Hey, come on, do a trick first." Well, it's very embarrassing to say, "Well, I don't have any of my stuff with me," because a magician is not supposed to do magic with stuff. They're supposed to be able to do miracles. You see. So all you need is a couple of Kleenex, and watch exactly what I do. I'm going to take a few Kleenex, which I got from the boys' room in there. I'm I'm in big trouble when you put your hands under the blowers and blow on your hands. I'm going to take these tissues and form them into these little balls, if I may. Now, would you hold your hands like that, sir? And if you don't mind holding my balls while I do this trick. Here.
Don't squeeze.
It's a lot funnier when there's ladies in the audience, but you do your best. All right, watch the trick. Don't say anything. I am now going to, hopefully, fool this man. You're taking videos. This is going to be on YouTube tomorrow. Watch that. You saw what I did with the thumb, right? Thumb tip.
He's a breathe.
That's about it.
From one side, it's a half breathe. All right. They'll get that joke when I go. Now watch. No thumb tip this time. Now watch what I do. Watch. Now come on, that's good. Thank you. See, he admits it. That was good. Do it again. I'm going to do a little more slowly now. I want to see if you can. No, I want you to watch. Now watch how I do this. Now watch. 1. See, just a little tissue, no fake fingers. 2. Now watch. Watch, see the way I push that like that? Careful with my watch, you know. Oh, he hates to admit it. Gotcha. All right. This time you're going to catch me. This time you're going to catch me. You put your hands down. You look silly like this. Unless you're selling all the steak. Yeah. This time you're going to catch me. You're going to see something you didn't see before because you weren't paying attention. Watch it. 1, 2. I don't know why that's funny. And where is it?
Not there anymore.
No. Thank you. Help me out. Go back to your seat. You're 1. Thank you. That is a great. Well, I'm going to show you how to do it. That is a great trick to do at a party. You get a lot of laughs because the poor person who's sitting there just has no clue. And when they point to your arm, and they will, everybody just has to do it. You were very polite to your friend here, but sit right over here, people, just so I can demonstrate. I picked on you a little bit today, but I meant every word. Now, payback's okay. And this is, when you do this, and you'll see exactly what we'll do. We'll do this. Two of these, of course, they're fresh. Annika, hold on, please. I did enough jokes with you, so I'm not going to do the same joke again. Okay. When you do it, you have to watch your timing. I go like this first. That gives him the idea that I'm going to put the ball into the hand. So now he's programmed to know that if I do it again, I'm going to put it in my hand. The second time, this is for you. And that's exactly what happened 3 times.
He doesn't know what he did.
He doesn't have any idea how I did it. That's how it looks. Now, you have to be careful. You have to be careful, number 1, very important, that when you throw it, it's got to go over the head. You don't want to throw it in first. That's the worst thing that can happen. And of course, last but not least, now, if you throw the ball, if you throw the ball over the head, you see, that's one thing. I'm not going to throw the ball over the head. You see, I'm just going to make it disappear. Thank you very much. Totally. Thank you. All right, just a couple more words about the magic shop and what is going to be happening this weekend. Let me find my microphone again. I want to thank Alex for the mic. Alex Trishan, he brought it in. I know they're dumb jokes, but you can't wait to use them somewhere. You'll figure out. I have a little theater in the magic shop. It holds 35 seats. That's 70 people piggyback. And we do birthday parties. We have a great time. Some of you nice folks came up to me before, and I know you well. You've been to the shop with the grandchildren or for yourself, and that's very nice. We're the only real magic shop between New York City and Baltimore. And there used to be a lot more magic shops around. There used to be lots of stuff around. But magic is it's a throwback. It's very retro. Very little electronics and plugging in and whatever. It's all done with your hands and with your time. It's great for kids. It really is. It gets them. What frightens me is a problem that didn't exist 10 years ago. And now it's prolific. And I talked to my daughter about it. She's a psychologist. And for anybody who knows, she works hand in hand with Dr. Aaron Beck in Philly. Yeah, so she's doing real good for herself. She really wants to be a hooker, but it's the psychology that somehow wasted time. Anyway, she could have been making a living, but instead she. And my grandson is 2 years old. That's Dr. Nathan Feinberg. He's an adorable little kid. The children come into the magic shop now, as they have in my 32 years, and 60 years ago, I was going to the magic shop in New York City and in East Orange, New Jersey, and all, so I know it backwards and forwards. And the kid would say, "Can I see a trick?" And the youngster would be glued to that trick. And now, as soon as I start performing the trick, kids looking here, looking there, looking there, looking there. And I thought it was, just a little strange occurrence with a couple of kids. It's all over the place. We gotta get them off the electronics a little bit. If you look at any TV commercial, try to count in 1 minute of a TV commercial how many times the scene changes in a TV commercial. You'll find at least one time a second. And the human brain is not prepared to digest information being tossed at it one time a second. So what happens is, the kids come in, and I start showing them a trick, and they can't focus. They really can't. And these are bright kids that don't have all these initials, whatever these different diseases are that they made up over the last 10 years. They're all over the place. And I felt that this was happening because they're so used to things changing that they just can't focus. My daughter feels a little bit differently. She feels as though it's a defense mechanism because when they're trying to watch these things, they turn away because there's too much information being fed at them at any given time. Magic slows you down. You read it, you learn it, you perform it, and it's great for kids. And just for that, I would rather sell a youngster a $4 magic trick and work a half hour to sell him a $4 magic trick and see that he's got something that's going to help him talk to people and communicate and put the texting. Oh, that reminds me, I better check and see if anybody wrote to me. I'll do it later. You want to make sure that they're away from that for a while. And the same thing for the grown-ups too. In the magic shop on the 26th of this month, Sunday, 11 o'clock in the morning, I have a free magic show for the community. Anybody who wants to come, I have cards in my case, and I'll be over at my table here when I'm done. I'd love to chat with you a little bit and just take a card. The website's on there and everything. And if you decide you'd like to come with grandchildren, with the wife, whatever, give me a call. 11 o'clock, Sunday the 26th. It'll be, I'll be doing some big equipment tricks and some comedy and fun. And if we pack that 11 o'clock show, then we'll make one for 1 o'clock, and we'll just keep doing it until we run out of people who'd like to come see a show. And that's our way to give back. There's no obligation. I don't do a sales pitch on tricks, just for fun, just to let you know that we're there. Aside from the magic, and I don't know how much time we have because I've been up here a long time already. I had a little slideshow prepared, but I think we're a little too late for that now. Okay. I can kill that in an hour. Well, thank you. That's very nice. I've been a celebrity representative for many, many years, and have done that through the magic shop years and all. When I was 17 years old, I was working in the Catskills. Let's go back a little bit. I was 5 years old. Before I was born, my mother, Rose, was Irving Berlin's personal assistant and secretary from the late 1920s into the very early 1940s. And Mom had one of her important jobs there is when they printed sheet music, the masters for the sheet music. And excuse me, and it was going to happen. And the celebrities weren't there to sign the originals like Al Jolson or Eddie Cantor or whatever. Mom was able to forge signatures, so that many times, almost most of the times, in the sheet music of that era, it would be her signature on there. But she did quite. Thank you very much. You weren't on your way to a doctor with this, were you? Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm sure I will. So, yeah, she, and Mom knew everybody in the entertainment business. One of her best buddies, coincidentally, his name was, all of a sudden I'm gonna have a mind thing. His name was Danny Lewis. Okay, so she knew Danny Lewis from probably the early 1930s, and until she left the Berlin office, she had my sister, and then I came along one warm night in August. My father got her drunk, and the next May, here I was. So Mom had a sister. Mom's sister, follow this, there's going to be a quiz. Mom had a sister. Mom's sister, Judy, she became a professional dancer. She married a guy named Buddy, and Buddy and Judy Allen toured around the world tap dancing, and they were in Europe. They actually had to be, about 1939, 1940, they had to be sneaked out of Europe because they were asked to do, they had done a performance for Mussolini, and they had been asked to do a command performance for Hitler, and they didn't feel quite comfortable, so they had a family that actually helped them get out of Germany. And when they were working the Catskills, Aunt Judy and Uncle Buddy, they worked at a place called the Flagler Hotel. At the Flagler, there was a guy there who was the social director. Social director in those days was not Simon Says. I did that for years. The social director in those days put on a full Broadway theatrical show every week in these wonderful hotels. And there was a guy, Ernie Glucksman, and he booked them into the Flagler. And years went by, Uncle Buddy and Aunt Judy broke up, and they still remain friends. Uncle Buddy became one of the most prominent theatrical managers in New York City. I was one of his clients. I did not help his career all that much, but he had people like Rip Taylor and Vaughn Meader when the first Family album was popular and all. I mean, he hit the top. So they broke up. Aunt Judy married Ernie Glucksman. You remember him from the Flagler, where Uncle Buddy used to work with Aunt Judy, and something must have happened there when. Okay, so now Uncle Buddy and Aunt Judy are married. Uncle Buddy, no, they're divorced. Ernie Glucksman and Aunt Judy. Aunt Judy was 17 years younger than Uncle Ernie. Uncle Ernie once said, "When I stand next to Judy, I feel like a condemned building with a brand new flagpole." I just made that up, but it's a good joke. But she was 17 years younger than Uncle Ernie, who said, yes, marriage is like pushing a truck uphill with a rope. So that was, I can't do jokes about my own aunt that way. Uncle Ernie, who was a wonderful comedian, comedy writer, producer, and put all these wonderful shows together, got a call from a friend of his over at NBC, and they said, look, we really need you, Ernie. You are a comedy genius. And we got something new here. We don't know how it's going to fly, but we got an act that we want to put on the Colgate Comedy Hour, which they were just putting together, and it's like an Italian singer and a monkey, and maybe you can work with them, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. And Uncle Ernie met with them, loved Dean, tolerated Jerry, and for the next 5 years, Martin and Lewis were on the Colgate Comedy Hour for probably 7-8 times a year. And a very close-knit relationship. My Uncle Ernie was the man who, when Paramount Pictures came to Ernie and said, look, Bing and Bob just did a telethon for the Helsinki Olympics, 1951, and it was great for them. We need a cause for Martin and Lewis, because Martin and Lewis were also, are you writing this down? Martin and Lewis were also under contract with Paramount. We need Martin and Lewis, now they're our new big star, we need a cause for them. And Uncle Ernie knew a guy named Paul Cohen who owned a little company that made tuck tape. And Paul Cohen had a very rare case of adult muscular dystrophy. And Paul Cohen said, well, you know, we're trying to raise about $17,000 a year. I got, you know, muscular dystrophy. Kids are getting it and they're dying from it. Maybe Martin and Lewis can help out. And Uncle Ernie went to Paramount and says, well, how about muscular dystrophy? They said, good, let's do a show. And it was Uncle Ernie. You will never hear Jerry mention that. It was Uncle Ernie who put Martin and Lewis together with Muscular Dystrophy Association. Jerry did fall in love with the kids, and all the work that he did was quite good. But when they asked Jerry well, you know, how come you're so interested in muscular dystrophy? You know, what was it? And he says, I'd rather not talk about it. It wasn't because, as everybody would like to think, there was some secret, deep, dark thing. What's Jerry going to say? Well, Rick's aunt was married to Judy, and Buddy went to this place, and then they got married from the Flagler, and he introduced me to Paul. It's a very unromantic story, but that's what happened with that. Uncle Ernie stayed with Martin and Lewis until they broke up. And then Ernie became Jerry's personal manager and executive producer for everything he did till 1965. 1962, I had already been doing magic for, gosh, a long time. I started in 1952, so I was already doing magic for 10 years and comedy, and Jerry asked me to be his guest on The Tonight Show, which was 1962 BC, before Carson. That was during the summer between Jack Parr and Johnny Carson, and I was on, that's going to be this July 6th, it'll be 50 years. They still have not authorized me to cash the check yet, but I'll get around to that maybe this year. And so that started my career in comedy. I remained friends with Jerry once in a while, and our latest encounter of friendship has been over the last decade, and I became Jerry's personal manager. It kind of happened because it was supposed to. I was trained, you know, back in 1952 when I used to travel with Dean and Jerry wherever they went, whenever they were in New York. And I know all the stories and books in the works. I personally manage now. Jerry, I don't manage Jerry now. He's not really doing that much. He's unmanageable. I manage Gary Lewis and the Playboys, Jerry's son. A lot of people never knew that Gary Lewis of this diamond ring was Jerry's son, but it's true. Anyway, I try to follow in my uncle's footsteps. I was 17 working the Catskills. I started at Brown's, and 17 I put down the magic. I said, I'll never do magic again because I'm doing comedy. I was very sophisticated. I said, no more magic for me. It's out of the story. And then the scene changes, and I do more magic shows now related to the magic shop than ever before in my life. So it's a great thing. But I have represented some incredibly wonderful, famous people, and this is on. I'm going to press the button. We're surely not going to watch the whole thing here, and I don't want to impose on your kindness, but watch a little bit here. And I will try to explain a little bit as we go through. And the play button has always been known to make it start. Okay. Yeah, that's my little opening. Oh, somebody's going through their change of lights at such an early age. Okay. I performed with the Three Stooges, who were my heroes since 1958. I performed with the Three Stooges on a tour of theaters. In those days, we were still doing the theater tours. Most theaters had one screen, and they were usually old vaudeville houses, like this was at the Adams Theater in Newark. That's Joe DeRita. There's Martin and Lewis, as I'm sure we all know and remember, and most of us love their comedy. There's me and Jerry, probably about 6 years ago. He was just coming down off all that weight that he had gained, and this picture has no explanation. It was at the Berlin Film Festival. It was in the National Enquirer. You just never want to stop short in front of Jerry when he's in back of you. Again, just a little more clowning. We have a great history. If he's lucky, I'll talk to him again because there's some things that I never truly agreed with in his life. You might have heard a story about Jerry's daughter coming out of nowhere and reuniting with her son Gary, and that's another interesting story. This is just a little bit in Berlin on a wonderful trip that we took to Berlin. Jerry was fascinated. We went to visit some of the internment centers. There's a railroad station where on the ground the Nazis had marked how many Jews had been put on the trains that day to be shipped off to the camps, and these still exist, and Jerry stood there in tears, and it was really very dramatic and very sad. And a little history, that is me, I guess 5 or 6 years old. This, you might recognize these guys from The Sopranos. This was at Jerry's roast. This is when Jerry was doing his impression of Mickey Rooney. Now this Mickey is 94 now. There's Mickey, there's me. That's Mickey's wife, and for those people who still make Mickey Rooney wife jokes, they are married 37 years now. Mickey is nuts, but when the lights go on, he's Mickey Rooney, and he's incredible. Anson Williams, there's Aaron Moran from Happy Days. They're part of the new nostalgia. Not yet far back enough for us all to really love and cherish, but I've represented them for personal appearances and speaking engagements. Chubby Checker never changes. He's an absolute gentleman, one of the nicest people I know. I don't represent Chubby for music. I represent him for coughing. I represent Chubby for personal appearances, speaking engagements, and voiceover work. Cartoon voices is his dream. Jerry Stiller, people always say, yeah, Ben Stiller's father, but I worked with Jerry in the Catskills years ago. This was my love, Haley Mills, Academy Award-winning English actress from the 1960s. Haley is still very busy right now. That's her sister, Juliet Mills. You remember Nanny and the Professor. Juliet just did an 8-year run on NBC Passions soap opera. There's Juliet. And so Juliet and Haley, now who knows who their dad is? John Mills. And there's Sir John. John passed away just a couple of years ago, well in his 90s. And there is one of my most cherished pictures. I represented Sir John for personal appearances. He wasn't making movies anymore, and he was totally blind at this point. Nobody knew it. He would meet and greet his fans and give autographs and shake hands. There's Rip. Rip, one of the most underrated entertainers, because if you saw him on TV throwing confetti, you quickly grew tired. If you saw him in a nightclub for an hour and a half, he would tear the place apart. Incredible entertainer. There's Rip before his sex change, as we all know. We know who that. Come on, who? Jane Russell is right. Jane recently passed away, very, very sadly. She was one of my favorite clients. She would do autograph shows, and people of all ages would come up and you know, just want to touch her and meet her and say hi. Being a magician and loving the allied arts, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy were favorites of mine. That's Margot Kidder. Margot has had some problems, as many performers have had, with psychological problems and all, and you've read about her in the papers. But she does give good hugs, so I decided to represent her and not worry about anything else. Who is it? Terry. Very good. Terry Moore, as some of us know, was married to who? Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes is right. Good. There's Terry, as she looked maybe 3 years ago. Imelda Marcos. Actually, now I don't represent Imelda. We still chat. This was in the, yes, I sell shoes, right? There's Manny Pacquiao. We were all together in the Philippines for a 2-week tour of Gary Lewis and the Playboys. Imelda Marcos idolized Gary Lewis and the Playboys when she was a youngster. This photo was taken at the Lambs Club. This man is sitting right here, still here today, as you can see. You notice my audience hasn't changed. It's always the same people in the audience. This was, they told me not to get a big head, but you can't help it when you're in show business. John McCain, you can't tell, but he's actually stealing my wallet in the picture here in the back. This is my vice president logo, because a lot of people don't recognize this guy, especially younger people. But there is Nelson Rockefeller, who actually took my watch when this was over. So it's very, very interesting. Dick Van Patten. Are you okay with this, folks? Are you enjoying watching a couple more minutes of this? Okay. This is Teen Life magazine. I was in a lot of the teen magazines. They made up everything. Just about nothing you read in those magazines are true. That's my mom. Her sister was Judy, who married Buddy, who then got divorced and who married, and then she's still doing it. Johnny Carson loved magic. And I used to meet him in New York when he was doing a show called Who Do You Trust? And he came to me, there's Norm Crosby. When he was working in the Concord, I was on the entertainment staff there, and he came up, he invited me up to where he was staying at the Concord, and he wanted to talk about the Jewish audience, because he was performing his only appearance in the Catskills at that time. There's Tody. Yeah. And I said, Johnny, you don't want me to tell you about the Jewish audience. I wasn't going to tell him Liberace is right. He had his hand also, but I can't tell you where. He was hugging me. Yes, he was. No, okay. Anyway, Johnny Carson wanted to know how the audiences were, and I wasn't going to tell him that the seasoned guests all sit in front like this. like that. So there's one of my absolute heroes, Cad Calloway. Good. There's Charlie Callis. And Charlie just passed away last year. I represented Charlie all over the United States. A dear friend, and I miss him. Here's a toughie. Academy Award-winning actress and singer. And she's gone, and I forgot her name. So we'll get back to her. Lionel Hampton. She was in Showboat. No, not Olivia de Havilland. Catherine Grayson, thank you. That is Harry James. Yeah. Georgie Jessel. I got a great Jerry Lewis story that Georgie told me. Well, I'm telling you, you can comb it the right way. There's the amazing Kreskin. There's Jackie Mason's bar mitzvah picture. And mine. Nipsey Russell taught me that if you're going to be introduced as a comedian, you have to make people laugh within 15 seconds after you're on the stage, otherwise find another career. That's exactly what he told me, and I've tried to follow his words. There's Bobby Vinton. Henny Youngman. Good. Somebody had just taken his wife, you can see. This magic table is the table I use at the magic shop for my magic show. This was on the Joe Franklin TV show in New York City. Yeah, there's Buffalo. What does that have to do with me? Yeah. Sorry for the fuzzy picture. There's my wife Sheila. There's me. There's Bob, Buffalo Bob. And that's Lou Anderson, who was Clarabelle from 1954 until the time he said goodbye to the children. There's Lou at a personal appearance about 5 years ago that I booked him on. Here's Soupy, one of my heroes in life and one of my favorite people. Soupy passed away about 1.5 years ago. This was at the Friends of Old Time Radio convention here in Newark. Soupy Sales, and there's me playing the role of White Fang. White Fang, just for fun. This is a picture of me talking on a telephone. You remember they used to have a wire on them like that, and it used to go into a thing you hung up on. Just some photos of me doing the same kind of thing I was doing today, except I was skinnier. Same hair. This is my hair. People always ask me if this is my hair. George Reeves, and that is Noel Neal. George Reeves isn't with us. There's Noel Neal. Well, she's a few years older. This is interesting. Here's Sissy from Family Affair. That's Kathy Garver. It was a very popular series during the 60s and 70s. And there's Kathy today. We were actually doing some work for the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon. Here is Little Ricky, the only living cast member of I Love Lucy. And there's Keith Thibodeau today. He and his wife own a ballet school in South Carolina. My first client, who I love, Spanky McFarland and Darla Hood. And Spanky and I did 10 years of college concerts during the Vietnam days, and our show was a breath of fresh air to all of the protest shows and all. The kids who watched Spanky in the 1950s growing up were the college students in the 1970s, and they adored Spanky, and they loved the show. Here's Bobby Rydell. Bobby and I were known to be illegitimate brothers, as you could probably tell. Bobby's okay, a little surgery. He's doing good. And there's another show. We had a lot of fun, Bobby and I, together. Bobby has no idea how good his love life was. Sharon Baird, one of the original Mouseketeers, who turned 70 this year. Is that scary? I mean, not that she's turning 70, but there is one of my sweethearts. No, that's not Darla. That is one of my favorites. That Doreen Tracy. Buster, before he got the crabs. This is Red Buttons. And we're going to do about one more minute. I'm giving you the first shot. Billy Eckstein. This is Yvonne Murray, one of the lullaby lead girls in the Wizard of Oz. She was one of the greatest little nightclub performers you would know. There she is. I tell people it's a picture of me and the little lady. I got other jokes that I don't do. Here's Gary Lewis. Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And there's Gary today. Please don't read anything into this picture. Stella Stevens, who co-starred with Jerry in The Nutty Professor. This is Betsy Palmer, who looks exactly the same as she did 60 years ago when she was on TV, and 50 years ago. She's adorable. Goldie Hawn. And that is, thank you. You went through the whole thing with me. I appreciate your kind indulgence. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your attention, your indulgence. I'll be here for a little bit. Come over and say hello. I'll give you a business card for the magic shop, and thanks for inviting me. Oh, I'm the guy that's got to do the drawing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I put my ticket inside my thumb tip. So.
We know with all those accolades that you've sustained your entire life and have enjoyed, none of it will be as good as what you're about to receive, which is the certificate of appreciation for speaking with us today.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Rick, thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, there's another picture.
What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm going to put it right on there.
Yeah. And if you would.
Bob wins again, probably.
Okay. And the number.
That's three.
First number is 2. Yeah! Last 3 numbers? Is that what you want? Okay. Well, it's 200310.
How about 320?
I gotta go over there. You got it? Yeah. Okay.
Right here.
Oh, we got the. Wow. Well, congratulations. Here's
Guess what? The money disappeared.
Guys, let's show our appreciation. This was wonderful. Okay, that's it. We'll see you next month.
Bobby Rydell. Bobby Rydell.